Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's your guy Jay going over all the things renovation don'ts. This topic is incredibly important to me. I got a lot of nuggets to give you guys, so let's get right into it. So when it comes to the don'ts in relation to your property, let's get into some of those right now. So one of the big things, and it kind of relates to the do's, but this is don't overspend. And it goes back to a lot of the things that we were mentioning before. And the reason why I said that is because it's just really easy to overspend. It's easy to say might as well. I bring that up in a lot of videos because the might as well are the things that really kind of kick you in the ass. And the reason for that is because when you're putting together a property, you want to do something that's beautiful and you want to do something that's awesome. I'm guilty of all these things because I know that I'm someone that cares a lot. And if you hopefully also care a lot about the property that you put out there and the product that you put out there, because this is our livelihood, then sometimes it's really easy to overspend. And it's really easy to say, well, might as well, right? Typically, whenever you do a property or a renovation, at least for me, I take down a lot of the casing, I take down a lot of the old baseboard. But again, this is a rental property for me. So I have to tell myself, no, don't do it. Even though I despise the baseboard in this house and I despise the casing in this house. As a designer, there are things that just kind of get under my skin and just make me go, ugh. But you have to fight against that because I understand that this is an investment. And when it comes to the long game, I got to remember Jay, the investor, and Jay, the designer, aren't necessarily the same person. They have to actually work with each other, kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde. And it's been a challenge for me. It's been a process. But I can tell you that the more I look at both, the better my properties tend to do. So another thing that's really big is when it comes to some don'ts are colors. Now, I love all white room because it's simple. To me, this is the denim jeans of real estate. It goes with everything. But when it comes to color options, some people, they think they know what they're doing when it comes to picking colors. So like, oh, I'm going to pick this color and this one. And then what ends up happening is you have a property that looks really bad. And the reason why it looks bad is because some people just aren't very good at picking colors. So stay away from obnoxious colors. Stay away from colors that aren't beautiful. Stay away from colors that aren't light. And the reason why I say that is because if you go with a light color, sometimes even if it is yellow or purple, but let's say it's a really, really light version of it, almost as if you had a white bucket of paint and you just poured a little bit of that color into it, that actually wouldn't be the end of the world because you would still have a lot of bounce light that goes around. That's actually why I paint a lot of my houses white, because it just allows for that much more bounce light in the room. And more bounce light means that your rooms feel brighter. So when it comes to some of these colorful, wacky colors that I see all the time, is that you get rooms that just look odd. You know, you get rooms that people walk into and they're like, oh, I don't like that paint color. And something that's really important to realize is that the average person is very literal. They don't know how to see what's not in front of their face. And they only know how to see what actually is that they're seeing right now. So they walk into a space, let's say it's a house that you're flipping, and you have a green room. That's actually what this room was. This room was once a green room. When you first walk into it, some people be like, I don't like the color in here. It looks so bad. And if you are a creative person, or if you're someone who can see past the color, you might just think like, well, paint it, duh. But some people can't see past that. It's like as if the green was permanent. And because that's the reason, it's going to detract a number of people from wanting to buy or rent your property. So what that means is that's going to now be that much harder for you to sell it or rent it because you've picked colors that are very specific to you or a very particular set of buyers versus going with colors that are open to a wider audience that more people are more accepting of and they're happier with. So when it comes to your rooms and it comes to your paint colors, don't go crazy. Keep everything simple. Remember I said in the very beginning, give it a kiss? That's another one to give it a kiss for. And the best thing you can do, go with colors that are really light and really bright. So another really big don't is don't treat the houses that you're flipping like the houses that you're renting. So let's go back and take this house, another perfect example again. and use it to describe what we're doing in here and how that's different from the flips that we're typically doing. So for an example that we use in this house is in the laundry room and in the bathroom itself, we have tile floors. Now, what I would typically do in a flip is I'd be buying floors that are a little bit more expensive, somewhere around $5 or $6 a square foot. Instead, I went with a floor that's around $2 or $3 a square foot. And the reason why I went with that is because the tile that I picked is a nice minimal uniform tile that looks good in most scenarios, and it blends really well with white walls. It actually just looks like a very beautiful white minimalist space, both the kitchen and the laundry. And the reason why I went with that is because, again, I want to try to appeal to a few more people than I typically would with a flip. And I also don't want to spend as much money on this because it's just going to get beat up anyway. When it comes to these flips, when it comes to the rentals, everyone is going to treat it a little bit different. A flipped property is more than likely going to be bought by either an investor or a homeowner. A rental property is just going to be rented by whomever is going to be renting inside the place. But something that I find to be pretty consistent when it comes to general wear and tear, or when it comes to just how people treat spaces, they're going to get beat up. Things are going to get broken. You might get upset about the things that you put inside there. Why would you put that in there? Why would you not put that in there? So the best thing you can do is just keep it really simple from the very beginning so that you don't have to worry about those things breaking, which inevitably they're going to break anyway. And now you're not so concerned with the fact that it broke because you saved money on the front side as opposed to replacing it and doing something on the back side. Now, another thing that's really important when it comes to the don't side of the flips versus the rental properties themselves is like how you choose to put furniture around. For the properties that I flip, I always stage them because I'm always trying to create a feeling that people are going to associate with walking to that room because I want them to see themselves living there. Same thing that I do with rentals, but it's a little bit different. With the rental properties that I have, I treat these as rentals that are going to be furnished. So a lot of times it's done through Furnish Finder. It's also done through Airbnb. So I'm not trying to spend a ton of money on them because just like everything else, I know it's going to get destroyed. So protect yourself from spending a lot of money and get stuff that's secondhand. Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, dumpster diving. Those three I'm always going to harp on till the end of time because they're wonderful places to find things at a discount that you don't have to worry about getting abused. So when you guys are looking to do your rentals or you're looking to do your flips, find some products off of those websites because you know that you can put them in there and regardless of what happens, it's going to be just fine. On the flip side specifically, spend a little bit more so that if they do decide to buy those furniture from you, you can sell it at a premium and you can recoup all the money and time that you put into staging that place. But you can also get an added benefit knowing that you bought some stuff that was a little bit nicer. So when somebody does decide to move into it, again, they're going to treat it with much more care than the rental would. So they have a little bit more to look forward to knowing that they have pieces that are really nice versus the rental property, which again, it's going to get beat up. So the next thing when it comes to some don'ts are don't just hire anybody. So another really big mistake that I see all the time from rookie flippers is that they think, oh, this handy guy can do my electrical, he can do my plumbing, he can do my roof, he can do... Nah. What you're looking for when it comes to real estate are people who are specialists. I don't want my electrician doing plumbing. No. I don't want my roof guy doing framing. Absolutely not. Because each one of them has a particular skill set. And even if they can do it, I don't want them to do it because they're not the best at it. And something that you're going to want to make sure that you do is as you continue to grow in your real estate game is that you want to make sure you find qualified people for every specific trade. And you're also going to find that as you continue to grow, especially if you're going to be treating real estate as something that you grow into from a contracting standpoint, you're going to need to build a really qualified team around you. So that means a qualified electrician, a qualified HVAC guy, a qualified drywall guy. And over time, you're going to be like, oh, that person's garbage. Get rid of them. Bring in a new one. Oh, that person's great. I love them. I'm going to add them to my core crew so that you know that every time you do a property, you have a consistency all the way across them. Something that I get from most of the houses that I flip that my agent always tells me about, people walk into them, they say like, hey, who did the renovation? Who is this person? They want to know because from what she's told me, there's always a consistency throughout them. People always feel welcomed by these properties. And the thing about it that's really wonderful, it only goes back to justify that by making the decision and getting people who are specialized is going to turn out and make your product that much better. And here's one last one to give you guys when it comes to the don'ts and it comes to what you do with the property and how you treat it. And that is, don't strip properties of their character. Something that I see that is just so painful to my heart is when somebody buys a property, especially one that's a very period piece. Let's say you buy a craftsman home, maybe it's Victorian, maybe it's something that's colonial, and it just gets absolutely obliterated by modernism or farmhouse or whatever BS trend is happening in the moment. It is just painful to watch and it is absolutely irritating. And I just wish the people who are going to be obliterating houses would go obliterate the houses that are already ugly, because it doesn't even matter at that point. Just go make something that's disgusting more disgusting. It won't matter. Nobody cared from the beginning. But when it comes to some of these houses that are really charming, they're absolutely beautiful, it is such a disservice to them to know that you took something that once was so specific to a period and you just stripped it of all of its character. I have a house right now that's in Boynton Beach, Florida. It is a mid-century house and it has these really beautiful like cove details. So think like along where like your ceiling meets your wall, it has this really beautiful like curved detail all throughout the living room and the kitchen. Stunning. As I was going through the demo, the guys were like ripping down all the cabinets. I told them like, don't touch that cove detail. Don't touch it. And they're like, whoa, what happens when we do the wall? I'm like, I don't care. That's the most important thing in this whole house that you need to preserve. And the reason why I made sure I preserved it is because that particular style, that craftsmanship that went into that is so difficult. I had a guy come by the house to give me an estimate for what it would cost to do drywall, because once I reframed the whole house and kind of moved some rooms around, there's a section, maybe 3 feet, that we couldn't do anything about, and I needed to take that cove detail down. I just had to. No problem, like it's to be expected. For that 3-foot detail, I think I asked about 4 or 5 guys, like handymen, craftsmen, to see what they would do and how they could do it. They're like, bro, I don't know. What do I do? I don't know how to do anything with that. Because it is such a crafted detail, such a staple to the people that worked during that time and what they were capable of, that it was so hard even for like the common handyman to be able to replicate it even for a 3-foot distance. So what am I going to do to correct that? I have no clue, but I promise you I'm going to come up with something that works really well and it blends beautifully into it, because the last thing I need to do is strip this absolutely stunning home of a detail like that that is so specific to its period. Now, there are some things that you're going to run into that are period specific that people do not like. For instance, the bathroom. The bathroom in this house was abysmal. It was this old pink tile, nasty, short shower, I mean, one of those bathrooms that you walk into and you immediately walk out because you're like, absolutely not. Now, something like that, when it comes to the period, does not work well. So something that I found over time is that when it comes to the same mentions earlier about the do's and don'ts, the kitchen and the bathroom, those are 2 spaces that people consistently want to be a more updated, more 2024 feel than something versus when the room or when the kitchen or bathroom originally existed. So you are going to have to play with your spaces to try to make them feel as best as you can to today's standards when it comes to those rooms. But when it comes to the details themselves, always making sure you preserve them. Maybe even when it comes to like some doors, like some historic doors, preserving all those details as best as you can is going to be really important, because one, it's going to help with your sale of the property, because there are people out there that do have an appreciation for some of those details and they're going to pay you accordingly for them. But also you're going to know that you preserved a piece of history. But if you are one of those people that care to put the time and energy into preserving some of those details, I can promise you that one, you're going to get paid on the back end for it, because there are people out there who do appreciate those details and will pay you accordingly for it. But two, you're also knowing that you're preserving a piece of history that is important to keep if you do care about those things, right? But realize that there are a lot of people out there that don't care. And as I mentioned before, they will obliterate some of those original details to the house. Yeah, there are people out there that do not care about some of those details, which is unfortunate. All I'm saying is, if you are one of those people, don't touch those houses. You go touch one of those piece of crap houses that are out there that nobody cares about anyway, and you go you go obliterate those. For all the houses that are really specific to periods, leave them from investors like myself and others that really care about it, because I can promise you that the ones that do care and do put the time and energy into it, they're going to be able the ones to say like they got to pay out for it on the back end. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you get more content just like this. And also make sure you turn on those post notifications so anytime those goodies drop, you're the first to know about it. So until the next time, catch you on the next one.